Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Capricorn energy, and we're going to get the cards out to see what the story is, but then we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives because people can harness their Capricorn energy differently. Capricorn is earth sign energy and shadow. It's represented by the devil. It can just be more about being caught up in the world, caught up in ourselves, kind of indulging our more worldly nature, which can be our pride, our ego, our fear, or self-centered nature, or a bunch of those things. And some people have learned lessons in life and freed themselves, which is high vibe Capricorn. I view the King of Pentacles as Capricorn energy, male or female. It can mean people who have learned lessons in life at whatever stage of life they are at, have learned lessons from past life experiences, and they've kind of are growing and maturing themselves, and they are who they say they are. They're not trying to wear a false mask. They're not trying to present themselves as something other than what they are, and just more mature than some other people who are kind of still indulging their more immature nature or worldly nature, caught up in the world. So we all tap into Capricorn energy. This might be something that is going on in Capricorn energy right now, so it might more affect people who are Capricorn sun, moon, rising, or significant Capricorn placements in their chart, but it can affect all of us because we harness all the different zodiac signs and we all can harness them differently. It just depends on what we decided to nurture and invest in within ourselves. So we start out with the Angel of Love, the Temple Path, and the second chakra. And the reason that came out is because of the man holding coin, which is King of Pentacles. So the pentacle can mean someone's truth and what they love. And the Temple Path is like the Hierophant, is how I view it, which is Taurus energy. And Taurus energy can talk about our philosophy of life. And at whatever stage of life we're at, that's our truth. That's how we view life. That's what we think is just and fair. That's what we're motivated and inspired by. And the second chakra can talk about the fact that we want to be in friendship and relationship with other people or have a job. Because the first chakra could just be at our own core foundational level of feeling kind of stable and secure within ourselves. And then the second chakra can be that we're ready to work together with other people. Some people love, being in relationship with other people, friendship, jobs, and romantic. And everybody could kind of, we all want those things. We all want to be in friendship and relationship, right? It's just that some people kind of could be a little full of themselves, is how this could be interpreted. They love themselves. Some people love the world. Shadowy Taurus is more about the ego and the image and the status. And for some people, that's why they want to be in relationship with other people. More for how it benefits them. So a little more self-interest, a little bit more about the status or the ego or the image, or they have a certain way of living life and maybe things that they like to indulge in, maybe more so than love. And if they make all those things, those other things, being about themselves, things they indulge in, more about the ego or the image, that can be the driving factor of why they are in certain friendships or relationships. And love might not be the driving more of the factor in their life. And other people are kind of the opposite. They have offered love to their more worldly nature. They have healed and grown and matured themselves. High vibe Capricorn, high vibe Taurus. They want to be in relationships and friendships and have jobs, but they really are kind of more who they say they are, and they really are more, have learned some of these lessons in life and like being in relationships and treating people in a more just and fair and balanced way, where the other people might like to be in relationships, but it's more for these other reasons or more about themselves as to why they want to be in those relationships. And so whatever people's truth is what they're going, is probably the type of people that, and things that they're investing their time, energy, and effort into. And so we kind of need to accept that. If we would like to be in a friendship or relationship with someone, but those people are working together with other people, well, then we need to accept the truth of that. And high vibe people offer love to themselves to deal with the truth, because the truth sets us free. If we get in our ego, then we can keep hoping maybe things will be different. We could go get in other friendships or relationships, but we could still have that kind of attachment to someone else. And so next we have a group of cards, and the reason they came out is because of the action card, and that reminds me of the Eight of Wands, which is Sagittarius energy. And Sagittarius is about higher learning and education. So even if people could love someone, but that person isn't kind of working together with them, they haven't learned some of the same lessons in life, or they have different dreams or different aspirations or different things they like to invest their time, energy, and effort into, different motivations. The high vibe people are going to offer love to themselves and the situation to kind of wrap their brain around it, that this is the truth. And in high vibe, the pentacles about truth and love. I have things I like to invest my time, energy, and effort into, my philosophy of life, my truth, what I'm trying to manifest. Other people have their truth and what they're motivated and inspired by, which with some of the people in our life, it is the same, but they're in a relationship with someone else. And so it's not with each other, right? And with some of the people in our life, it's kind of opposite. We're not really on the same page. Our truth is different. Our philosophy of life is different. What we like and love to invest our time, energy, and effort into is different. Irregardless of if it's people who we could view as more on the same page as us or not, if those people aren't working together with us and they're moving forward with someone else, well then high vibe people offer love to it, to accept the truth of it. And the people in our life who do work together with us in this we're kind of more on the same page, we would probably be inspired to keep moving forward with those people. And other people are going to probably move forward in their relationships and friendships for whatever reason. High vibe, worldly, shadowy is the reason why they're in it. So, and we're all going to go on this adventure. Sagittarius is about going on this adventure to learn these lessons in life. And at the end of the story, we have all tied up, which reminds me of the Eight of Swords, which is Gemini energy. We all get into these different, we're kind of all going on this adventure, coming into contact with people. Some of the people we kind of get more along with, we move forward with them. Other people we don't get along with at a certain time, and we kind of distance ourselves from those people. And we go on this journey. So the journey card also reminds me of Sagittarius. It also reminds me of Aries energy, of the Fool card. And it's all to kind of help us get more clear about what our truth is and our truth isn't. And, if we move forward in something that we think will make us happy, but then it's like, oh, wait a minute. I'm not sure, I might have went down the wrong path. Well, high vibe people are willing to see the truth of it, and they offer love to the situation and themselves, probably, communicate their truth to people in their life about maybe some of their concerns. If there's something, the Eight of Swords can talk about that, you're moving forward with something that you think, was aligned with your truth. But then maybe you harness your Gemini energy differently. And Gemini is about our dualistic nature of free will. And maybe some people we could be attracted to, it seems like we're on the same page. We move forward with them. And then maybe we feel like they harness those energies in a more shadowy way. So this is like Sagittarius and Aries, the happy families, like the Ten of Cups, which is Pisces. In our free will nature of ourself, are we more about ourself or more immature? Sagittarius and shadow can be more immature. Do we have illusions about what it means to be in a relationship? And anything we move forward with. And at any time in a relationship, people have, in Gemini, free will to either keep being motivated and inspired to work together with people in a more just and fair and loving way. That would be more high vibe. Or at some given time, some people could say, nope, I don't want to do that anymore. And then we kind of realize we're not on the same page. Or as time goes by, we could kind of realize the that we harness these energies differently. Like, well, I thought it was going to be about truth and love and justice and fairness and going on this adventure together. And some other people could think, well, I like you and you like me, and maybe I'm more inspired by the world. That can be our free will in our more worldly nature. And I'm happy being in the relationship, but they could be people where that's more the driving factor. It's more maybe about being in a relationship, enjoying a relationship, but a little bit more being more inspired more by it just being a more worldly focused relationship because of these things of the world, instead of in high vibe Gemini and high vibe Pisces and high vibe Sagittarius and Aries in your fire sign energy of being more motivated and inspired by love. You're one or the other of your dualistic nature of yourself, because we've all got our dualistic nature, free will. One or the other is kind of in the driver's seat of your life that kind of drives and motivates you and why you do what you do. And sometimes people can move forward in something and then they realize, oh, wait a minute, your truth kind of what drives and motivates you and why you want to be in it and stay in it is different than more the truth of why I would want to be in it and stay in it. And someone's could be more about themselves, more about the world, indulging themselves in it, being indulged, indulging other people in order to have a certain status or image, or but it's not really love. And that could be what these three cards are about. That with any friendship or relationship or job that we're in, we move forward in it. And, it could be trying to get to know each other. The wands can be about communication. The pentacles in Taurus and Capricorn can talk about getting to know each other, and you can love each other and like each other. And, you're just trying to figure out as you move forward with some people what their truth is. Some people we could feel like we're on the same page, and later we could find out, and some people could be finding out now that they're not on the same page. Some other people, we already kind of found out that truth, and then we could have moved on from those people. But it had to do with these three cards here that aren't showing themselves. So what are they? The adjacent possibilities, the woman holding a heart, and the thinking man. So I view the adjacent possibilities as like the Seven of Cups, which is Scorpio energy. And this as the Queen of Cups, which I view as Scorpio energy. And then the thinking man is the King of Swords, which is Libra energy, represented by the Scales of Justice. Scorpio's emotional water sign energy. Scorpio energy can talk about, kind of like Sagittarius, are we willing to go on this adventure together? Is that our truth? Are we both kind of motivated and inspired to be in high vibe Scorpio, deep, meaningful relationships? Is that our truth? Are we inspired to treat other people the way we like to be treated? Be just and fair? Is it motivated and inspired by love? Is that our truth? And so, with some people it is. And so, or at least we think that, so we keep moving forward with them. With some other people, we might not realize that we harness these energies differently. That some people, again, like the relationship, want to be in the relationship, but it could be a little bit more of living more from their mind than their heart, that this makes logical, practical sense. I like you, you like me, we're attracted to each other, we should stay in the relationship. So they could harness their Scorpio energy differently, which a more shadowy Scorpio could be, I want to be in a relationship, you want to be in a relationship or a friendship, but the one person could kind of be presenting themselves as being more motivated and inspired by love than they really are. And that can kind of be a strategy instead of really, because if you're living more from your mind than your heart, Gemini, like Libra, is air sign energy. And anybody, regardless of what zodiac sign they are, sun sign, they could be people who like to live more from their mind than their heart. I like relationships. I want to be in relationships, but I kind of, as a strategy, kind of try to present myself as more motivated and inspired by love, but it can be kind of more where it ends up feeling like, people are having sex with you if it's romantic, right? Or that if it's a friendship, that it makes logical, practical sense. It's good for my ego, my image, or you're fun. I like to hang out with you, but in shadowy energy could be where it is a little more in shadowy Scorpio, a little more superficial and shallow. Again, more for these reasons of the world, of kind of maybe how it benefits people, but not really love. But sometimes we don't know, and sometimes other people don't know. And it is this process of getting to know each other. And even some of the people, when people are first kind of going out in the world, they might think, well, if I met the right person, then I would be more willing to do a more deep, meaningful relationship. And that could be getting to know people to find out if they think they're the one, and if they find out that I do think this person, we are on the same page, yes, I am willing to do love with that person. Other people could keep telling themselves, I'm waiting to find someone who I think is the right person, that I would be willing to maybe do a more deep, meaningful relationship and kind of take that leap of faith with them. But maybe every time they keep getting caught up in their head. And the difference, the King of Swords normally holds one sword, and this being like the Eight of Swords, the difference is the Seven of Swords, which can be, they have this dream, they like this dream to come into reality, but then the Five, the Six, and the Seven of Swords are all Aquarius energy of, I have this dream. But then some people just have a really hard time kind of listening to their intuition. Again, they might be people who kind of present themselves as more motivated and inspired by love, but they could get a little bit up in their, live a little bit more from their mind than their heart, and then they could get caught up in their head about taking a leap of faith to do love. Well, if people keep doing that over and over, it would be nice if they kind of realize that, I kind of don't think it really matters who I get in a relationship with. I don't think I'm really willing to do love. And then maybe get in relationships with other people who don't really seem to want to do love. Instead of getting in relationships with people who they know do want to do love. Because when it's a more mismatched relationship and one person is more motivated to be in a relationship, more inspired by love, which is to be just and fair, and, where people are invested in it and people are committed to it from love. And if they know that that's really not how they like to live their life, those relationships don't work out and the other people kind of move on. And the happy family reminds me of the 10 of Cups, and there's a maximum of 10 in every suit. So eventually other people could end up getting out of relationships with people who they kind of come to realize, I don't really think it's actually love that more drives and motivates you. Can you be a pleasant person to be in a relationship? Can you kind of be loving and encouraging and supportive and just and fair? But I think it's more for these other reasons, or, the kings, the masculine cards, can represent, whether someone is male or female, it can represent how people present themselves in the world. So, it's kind of us in our more worldly, earthly vessel of ourself. We go take ourselves out there in the world and we present ourselves as these people who are emotionally mature, and that we've learned these lessons and we've grown and healed to mature ourselves, and that we're just and fair and we're motivated and inspired by love, male or female. But then when they get in a relationship, the feminine figures can talk about how people really feel. And again, as people move forward in some relationships, they could realize that some people, being in your more egoic nature can be that, it's kind of your more ego nature, which can be defensiveness. And so even those type of people can love to be in relationships, like to be in relationships, can be pretty just and fair and stable and grounded and nurturing and supportive and loving. But ultimately, Gemini can talk about, at a core foundational level, are you tipped more in favor of having hope and faith and belief in yourself and in others and in love? Or is that not your truth? And it's kind of more about living more from your mind than your heart, and shadowy Aquarius and shadowy Capricorn and all these things, where it's more about, I want to be in a relationship, shadowy Taurus. I want what other people have, but I just can't get out of my head to really get more balance within myself about, I want these things in the world, and to see the truth in high vibe Libra, that it is supposed to be more motivated and inspired by love. And some people just won't let themselves go there. Like to be in relationships, enjoy being in relationships, can be all these kind of pleasant ways of being. But ultimately, it's kind of, if you're more defensive to love, but you want to be in a romantic relationship, it is kind of a little bit more an Aries energy of, like, the Fool card, is that they're kind of a little bit more about their themselves and their self-protective nature. And they could want to move forward in the relationship, but then the other people are kind of up in their head about moving forward with them, because if their Aquarius is about the dream that we have, if their dream was to be in a relationship with other people who are motivated and inspired by love, and even though they could love the person they're in a relationship with, and that person could kind of have love for them, but they just won't come out. It's kind of like they keep their emotional nature imprisoned. Like they won't let their more hopeful, believing, loving nature out to play in the world. That aspect of them looks out through the eyeballs, but they let their more ego, kind of self-protective, defensive nature run their life. And that's when some of the more high vibe people in their life kind of realize, my dream can't come into reality with you, because it kind of, shadowy energy can be where, the relationship doesn't like grow and mature itself and deepen over time, because they won't let themselves go there. And so then it can, if the other people are more, it can kind of get in competitive energy, I guess is what I'm getting at. And that can be kind of a shadowy King of Swords, where someone tries to, because they get up in their head, they're fearful. The other person does seem less manipulated by some things than they're manipulated by. And that person could be more free, more continuing to like grow and heal and mature themselves. And then they get up in their head afraid that that person, because they are more willing to be more authentically themselves, they are more willing just to keep shedding old layers of themselves in a way and freeing themselves from things that manipulate them. And the other people might not work through those things that manipulate them. And that's why they keep kind of being defensive to love. And that's when some people could do some things that are kind of shadowy. You know, when you're in a relationship, we have the free will to either, communicate our truth to people. The wands and the sword could be about communicating their truth to people about maybe some of the fears and insecurities that they have, or past pain and heartbreak, or how they get up in their head, or how they kind of get caught up in these things of the world, or whatever it could be, right? But if you're kind of more defensive and kind of get up in your head, that can get you kind of defensive and get you kind of a little bit in your ego. And then people could make a free will decision and do some, instead of being truthful and honest and kind of being vulnerable, coming out from behind your ego, they could take some foolish risks in a relationship and make that decision to maybe try to control or manipulate someone to stop those people from continuing to love and believe in themselves, because they don't want those people to move forward differently. Because in order to move forward differently, and at the end of the story we have the blossoming abundance. And then we have the community card, which I kind of view like the Three of Cups and the Three of Pentacles in Cancer and Capricorn energy, to kind of more listen to your intuition with the door to spirit. And then the Patience card about balancing out your emotions and kind of facing your fears and working together cooperatively, again, kind of having more hope and faith and belief in yourself and in others and in love, and balancing out, some of those fears and insecurities, and seeing the truth of some things and some philosophies of life that people might have, of how they thought things were going to go, and their idea of what they think is just and fair, and how they plan to live their life. And some people, whether they're male or female, they maybe never plan to become independent of just this, being more motivated and inspired by these things of the world and having that as the foundation. We get in a relationship because we want to be in friendship and relationship, and might want to get married, might want to have kids, and then we still just kind of make our life more about being more inspired to, this makes logical, practical sense, live more from our mind than our heart, get in relationships, stay in relationships for those reasons. And some people were never really thinking maybe that they'd end up or find themselves in a relationship with someone where they would kind of have to become more emotionally detached from being in relationships for those reasons, and really kind of more take that leap of faith to have more hope and faith and belief in love. And because that is maybe just how they've thought all their life, In a world of duality, we all have free will to choose to think and feel the way we think and feel, and make our life about how we view it and what we think is just and fair. And sometimes we can get in friendships and relationships with people, and as time goes by, we kind of thought they thought like we thought, and they thought we thought like they thought. And then as time goes by, we could kind of both realize they maybe don't want to be in a relationship with someone who is more inspired to just free themselves from being more manipulated by these things of the world and making their life more about conforming to the world. They still have their job and their friendships and their relationships, but maybe in a more high vibrational Aquarius energy that someone could harness. They kind of start to think that there's more to life than, this dream I had of wanting these certain things of the world and kind of making my life more about those things of the world or me and or the status or the image or that there's just more to life than that, and there is a higher truth and justice to aspire to in their Libra energy, and it's more than just how it benefits me and just these things of the world. It's like high vibe Taurus over here in the temple path is like helping other people, and so less and less about yourself and your own status, ego, image, but to want to inspire other people to love and believe in themselves and free themselves from things that manipulate them. And because high vibe energy represented by God at the big picture, and shadowy energy kind of represented by the devil, wants us to free ourselves from how we're so manipulated by our ego and our fear and our past pain and heartbreak and conforming to the world, because high vibe energy wants to keep giving birth to new things. But in order to give birth to new things, we have to keep shedding layers of our more worldly nature, and we have to keep growing and healing and maturing in ourselves and believing in ourselves and maintaining balance within ourselves and willing to take those leaps of faith to keep becoming independent of like old versions of ourselves, so that we don't keep repeating a cycle over and over. And there could be some people that have a lot of fear of high vibe energies being just more independent, and high vibe Pisces can be more independent. High vibe Capricorn is more independent. Aries energy, being a leader in the world, but not, you know, in a lot of different ways, where some people like, oh, I want to be a leader just to my family or my friend group or in my workplace or look like a boss in the world in some way. But it's really trying to make it more than just those things of the world, to really, like high vibe energy, God wants you to be free of things that manipulate you, to live your more authentic life. Because if you don't, and high vibe Aquarius, like shine your more authentic light in the world, where making your life more about conforming to the world, you might do that because you're afraid of people judging you, you know, and so you might make your life more about conforming to the world. But we were all given our own unique, the pentacles can talk about our own unique talent, skills, and interests that we have. Are we really investing our time, energy, and effort into what's really kind of aligned with our soul and our unique things that could really make us happy? And some people aren't even doing that. Oops, got an alarm on my phone. Some people are living their life conforming to the world and too afraid to take that leap of faith to go do some of the things they'd really like to do, because maybe that would be out of the norm of other people in their life. Like maybe if some people have a certain status or image and they'd really like to go karaoke, and some other people would be like, oh my gosh, they went to like a bar and did karaoke. Or, you know, I mean, shadowy Taurus over here can be where, and shadowy King of Pentacles could be like, well, I have a certain status image in the world. Would I like to go, whatever all the different things people could do in the world? Would I like to go do karaoke? Would I like to go tubing? Do I think that looks like fun? Do I think those people seem to be cool and I'd like to go talk with them and get to know them better? And other people are like, oh my gosh, you can't go do those things. You can't hang out with those people. Those people aren't of the same status or whatever as we are. It's like, and that's high vibe energy, that it's to find people who are more aligned with your truth, where you can be more free to be authentically yourself, instead of having to maybe wear a false mask and present yourself a certain way. And shadowy Libra can be, I don't know if you want to call it shadowy, but it can be more of our people pleasing aspect and our public politician persona, because we so much want people, maybe of different types of people, to view us a certain way and want to be in friendship and relationship with us, but we're not really living our authentic truth. And then if some people kind of, it's always about trying to present the certain way of being to people please people and present themselves in a certain way, other people can kind of be turned off by it, because when you kind of think of it, you could kind of see that as people trying to manipulate other people instead of being more authentically themselves. And shadowy Scorpio, it could come across as a little more inauthentic and superficial and shallow. But some people are afraid to be more authentically themselves. And until they kind of work through that, they're probably going to keep living their life the way they live it. And God will always be there to, and their high vibe nature will always be there. But, people can choose in their free will. Nope. And it could make them feel more stable and secure within themselves. If we look at any phase of life we went through, would we have liked to have done some things and we weren't ready to do it yet? We're all on our own journey of getting comfortable within ourselves, to feel free to be more authentically ourselves. And some people may never do it in their entire life. But if other people kind of get in relationship with some people who they realize, they kind of have a lot of things that maybe manipulate them that don't manipulate you that way. I think high vibe people offer love to it and the situation, that if that's your truth, you should go live your life that way. That's not my truth, or it was my truth, but that's not my truth anymore. And I am kind of ready in the blossoming abundance to move forward in life a little differently. And if that's outside your comfort zone and you're happy doing this, do that. But I am inspired to move forward differently, so you'd hope that some of those people could, be accepting of you doing that, and some of them are. But high vibe people are probably communicating and working with people that they think are kind of ready to move forward in life a little differently, put some old ways behind them, just like when we turn 21 to 25. I kind of don't want to keep doing those things. Who wants to go do this? And other people are like, oh no, we still want to do this. Like, okay, well, you do that. We're going to kind of do some other things. And maybe if you kind of get tired of that eventually, maybe you'll communicate with us that you want to move forward and hang out with us. But in the meantime, and some people who are thinking about it right now could really, it takes a long time. It's a lot of things to consider. And it can be some very, again, we have to face our fears. Again, high vibe energy is becoming more independent. Just like when we were children, the Ten of Cups can talk about our family. We have to become more independent of our family to kind of believe in ourselves that I think I can, take over that role within myself to kind of be loving and encouraging to myself, that I don't need to have, do I like them in my life, want them in my life? But that phase of life has come to an end. I need to learn how to love and believe in myself and temper my own fears and insecurities and believe in myself to become independent of my family, right? And then there can be people who become independent. Well, some people, and same way like a friend group, and these things kind of repeat in our life, just like maybe when we were in high school, to detach from the friend group that we had and the people and where we knew everybody. Stepping outside of our comfort zone could kind of be unknown territory, and that's different and that's scary. But, and it affects people differently. Everybody can have different fears, and some people are a little more bold and confident to, yep, I'm going off to college, or yep, I'm moving to a different town to take a job. And other people wouldn't go off to college or wouldn't move to a different town. And that can be just fine if they're happy with their life. But if other people are like, I can't keep staying here, if people are happy with it, then they should do that. But that's not my truth, and my dream could be different than your dream. And I'm glad your dream worked out for you and this all worked out. But it's kind of not working out that way for me. So I might have to become independent of this group to kind of manifest what I am looking to manifest. I think some people who are more about either their defensive nature, indulge a more immature nature, try to control people, try to manipulate people, are more caught up in whatever they're caught up in. They could maybe not get and understand why other people don't make their life about what they make their life about, because they are very sure these things that they make their life about, or is their truth or their way of looking at life that they think is just and fair. Why aren't those people more caught up in those things? And that's kind of what this kind of King of Swords is like. I just don't get it, And it's like, if you were to hold a clear crystal quartz up to the light, you'd see the rainbow of colors. And that's kind of, I think, kind of representing all the possibilities and having that more hopeful, believing spirit within yourself. And again, maybe being more inspired to listen to your intuition. But some people aren't as connected in with themselves, maybe emotionally, and could more look to other people, even if that's conforming to the world, for them to think that will make them happy or something, but they don't really listen to their own intuition because they're kind of afraid of listening maybe to their own intuition. But I think our intuition was given to us as a gift to help us navigate in this world, but we have the free will choice to listen to it or not, to kind of believe in ourselves and listen to the synchronicities and love and intuition guide us than being more defensive or living more from our mind than our heart, doing what just seems practical and logical. To have that more hopeful, believing spirit within yourself and trust that the divine has a plan for your life. And that could be a more high vibrational Aquarius energy and a high vibe Libra. I think there's a higher truth and justice to aspire to. I think there's more to work with than just these things of the world. I think we were given our creative, inspired nature, and if we maintain balance within ourselves and don't get too caught up in our head and manipulated by these things of the world, we notice more of those synchronicities. We see the rainbow of possibilities and we're willing to trust it. And other people could be much more defensive of trusting it, because that is kind of taking a leap of faith. And other people have more practice with it, It's just like talking about kind of Capricorn and things that we invest in. Some people have more invested in listening to their intuition throughout their life and have a little more practice at taking some of those leaps of faith. Not everything worked out the way they wanted, but they learn lessons from it, and that's like high vibe Sagittarius. Every journey I go on are opportunities for me to get more clear about what my truth is and my truth isn't. And I know that everything I go pursue isn't going to work out the way that I wanted. But I want to go on the adventure, and that's kind of high vibe Scorpio also. I'm willing to go on the roller coaster of life. As I get older, I'm not going to make as many foolish, impulsive, maybe decisions more out of lust or greed or whatever, but I'm still willing to take those leap of faith and take the lessons that I've learned, incorporate those into my decision making as I move forward. Maybe I've learned to be more comfortable within myself, um, not impulsively, willing to get to know people maybe before I take a leap of faith. And some people, there could be people that, some people, you and others, looking at other people just in the process again of getting to know them, trying to get, see what their truth is, see what their truth isn't. When we've been in more mismatched relationships, we don't want to do that again. If we know we're more motivated by love and more inspired to not make our life more about ourself or conforming to the world, or for this just more the status, ego, and image, we don't want to get in a relationship with other people like that again. And so again, it could be getting to know people and then maybe kind of working through some of our fears of maybe communicating with those people. Hey, I think we kind of seem, and then one stage of a relationship, that cycle closes, and then it moves to a next phase of a relationship. So just like we can do that in friendships, like, we know them at work, we kind of know them in our neighborhood, get to know them. It's like, hey, would you want to go do this? And, then they go with you to go do that, or they ask you to go do that. And it's kind of scary and it's a little different because, like, I've never went anywhere with that person, even just to go grab a bite to eat or whatever, and if it's not someone you do that with, it's just kind of different initially. And some people might do that. Now some people have been moving forward in some relationships, and one person feels like, I feel like we've kind of completed this phase, and I do have a dream and I am ready to kind of move forward into the next phase. you know some of the people in their life could be debating if they are willing to kind of exit that other phase and go to that next phase. And for whatever reasons, they would do it. Some people, shadowy people, can sometimes be looking for someone who they think is more loving, maybe hasn't been in relationship with someone like them to a certain degree, that doesn't see the truth about them, or someone who could be more fearful about being more independent. And so some of those people, if they think they have someone in their life who they think, you know what, I think I can keep living more from my ego, male or female. I think this person either is loving and they haven't learned the truth about people like me, who kind of just create an illusion I'm motivated by love, or they don't really know I'm more in it for the ego or the image or the indulgence of it. They might move forward with those people. If they're the ones who want to move forward and the person they're in a relationship is like, wait a minute, as we've been kind of getting to know each other, I don't know if I want to keep moving forward in this, because I kind of think what we're driven and motivated by is different. And I think you do have some ulterior purposes that aren't really love. And if those people are willing to face their fears and be more independent, they get out of the relationship with them. Shadowy people can more use things of the world, their looks, their charm, their money, their sexuality, their intelligence, their status, their image, their social clout, to try to get people to stay in a relationship with them. And that can work. People can get married, people can have children. Again, because we all kind of want to manifest some of these things in the world. And again, maybe some of those people didn't realize that that was more what drove and motivated people was these more worldly things. And then later they could realize, I don't kind of think our truth is the same. And that's when some people can get out of relationships. I just think when we do listen to love, and we can love people and keep our distance from them. Love is to be just and fair. You're supposed to treat other people the way you like to be treated. You're supposed to temper your more being about yourself and your ego. You're supposed to act with character and integrity and kind of walk the talk. And again, some people try to create the illusion they're that type of person, but it's not really the truth of who they are. And out of love for ourselves and that we want to be in those kind of relationships, you can be loving and encouraging to people, but eventually, if people think some people aren't being more just and fair, they're going to move on. And I think, the wheel of fate will turn in the favor of the people who listen to their intuition, which is like your higher self and your soul. And because otherwise you're kind of settling for an illusion that's not really just and fair and more motivated and inspired by love. And then as you do that, you have this new beginning, and then it's to go out in the world and get to know people, and it frees you up to meet people who are more on the same page as you. And as you do that, you could meet some people who think that you are more on the same page as me, and they want to move forward with you, and you're already kind of moving forward with some of the people in your life who are more on that same page. And while you're doing that, some people, some of them will happily move forward. Again, everybody has a free will to live their life the way they live it, and could be perfectly happy. They would just need with either the people still that they're moving forward with, or living their life the way they like to live it, just like you had lived your life kind of maybe to some degree at one point in time. They just are still happy living their life that way, and they would maybe just go find other people who are still happy living their life that way. But some more shadowy people, if they are people who try to like to just indulge in relationships or try to manipulate and control people, they're just going to go find someone else to try to manipulate and control for as long as it benefits them, and it works for them. But it's not love. So what's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Leo energy? They have people in their life that they love, that they want to keep moving forward with. They could meet other people in their life that they think are kind of on the same page. They could communicate with those people. Move away from people who they think aren't on the same page. We have 4 cards not showing themselves. And the reason is because of the 4 of Swords, Libra. When some relationships don't work out and they were more mismatched, it can have us up in our head. But again, the high vibe people offer truth and love to it. And accept the truth of it. That other people's truth is different. See where they needed to grow, heal, and mature. If needless, parts of their aspects could be why the relationship didn't work out. Also, be willing to see the truth of other people and kind of what drives and motivates them and what makes them happy and the kind of life they want to live, and how they want to live can be their idea of the dream life, and what the components are that make that up. Even though there can be love there, those things are different. I like to do this, you like to do that. You want to live here, I want to live there. Whatever it could be. So the high vibe people are going to heal. And they're also going to reflect on the truth, get balance within themselves, work through this mental conflict they have about having a new beginning, not wanting to get and go indulge in a relationship or other things to such an extent that, that can just put you more up in a mental prison. It's like, no, I want to take action from a more balanced place, inspired place, mature place, loving place. And then when they're ready, that's when they'll go on this new journey. And as they do that, they probably work through how they kind of harness these energies in a more worldly, shadowy way. And if they don't want to repeat that pattern, there's always going to be people in the world that have these different ways of living life and viewing life. And it's kind of getting clear about what your truth is and your truth isn't. But also seeing how they could have gotten in and stayed in some of those more mismatched relationships because they did harness these energies to some degree within themselves in a more worldly, shadowy way. And they had to maybe put in some work and effort to work through some illusions they could have had about relationships, maybe grow and mature themselves, get more balance within themselves, be more willing to love and believe in themselves, because shadowy energy can just be that we're more codependent. And so let's go see what they are. The Two of Pentacles, the Knight of Wands, the Nine of Swords, and the Knight of Wands. I have two small. Oh no, that's the Six of Wands. That's Leo energy. So, we all go on this adventure in Sagittarius energy to learn these lessons in life. And we'll probably repeat some old patterns because we could be drawn and attracted to people who kind of remind us of people that we kind of could have grown up with because that's our comfort zone. And so then we'll probably hang out with some people that, we just know how to work with those people. And plus, we could have kind of lived our life like other people live their life. But because we hadn't gotten really clear about what our own truth was. And so we were motivated and inspired to repeat some of those past patterns. And the Two of Pentacles, like the King of Pentacles, is Capricorn energy. We're all kind of really motivated and inspired by these things of the world that we want to go indulge in and manifest. And at all those different stages of life, we thought it was just and fair, and basically in a way it was just and fair because that's where we were at. That's how we thought, that's how we felt. They might have had more fear of kind of loving and believing in themselves. I view high vibe Leo as learning to give yourself the things that you wish other people would have given you. And in our more worldly nature, we can look to the world to validate our worth and value, to appreciate us, go get in friendships and relationships, wanting other people to love us because we haven't learned to love ourselves and appreciate ourselves, and we haven't healed. So then we'll probably go get in relationships with other people who haven't healed. And they're growing up and maturing too. And that whole experience then, from the 4 to the 9, is to help us work through the 5 of Swords, which is that mental conflict we have in the 5, the 6, and the 7 of Swords of Aquarius energy. I have this dream, and we could be stressed out about, if we'll have the victory and success that we want, if we'll have the friendships and relationships we want, will we be able to manifest some of those things that we want? And sometimes we didn't love and believe in ourselves or love ourselves, and could have been more codependent, more caught up in the world, and we didn't listen to our intuition, and we had that mental conflict, and we went and repeated some of those old patterns. So now people have worked through some of that mental conflict and kind of see how they could have been more manipulated by their immature nature, their codependent nature, their worldly nature, living more from their mind than their heart. And between the 1 wand and the 6 of wands is the 5 of wands, which is Leo energy, which can be our competitive nature, our prideful nature, our lustful nature, all these things of the world that we want. And we're so influenced by those things of the world. And sometimes we can try to change other people. The 5s also from here to there we had the 5, and there to there we had the 5. The 5s can talk about change. Sometimes people are very loving, nurturing people, and they're trying to change other people. And they could have been, used to being in relationships with people who maybe juggle the truth or are more about the world. And we try to get them to see life from a higher perspective and get them to grow up and mature themselves. And they're always running away and doing whatever they're doing. And we're like, no, 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 you should have more hope and faith and belief in yourself, or love me, or believe in me, or, and then we kind of realize the truth of it. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm not going to try to change people anymore. I'm going to offer people truth and love and encouragement. But I'm not going to get up in my head about it if they're not drawn and attracted to me, or they're rude or immature or full of themselves. I'm not going to try to get them to appreciate my worth and value. I'm going to appreciate my own worth and value. Kind of know my own worth and value. Stand up for my truth. Believe in myself. And that is like high vibe Leo, this process of becoming and feeling more confident within yourself, more balanced within yourself, more inspired within yourself, learning to love and believe in yourself and give yourself the things that you wish other people would give you, so you're not more codependent and looking to other people to validate like your worth and value. So you freed yourself in high vibe Capricorn to get more balance, to be more inspired, to take action more from a balanced place and more focused on your truth and what motivates and inspires you. I can be loving and encouraging to other people, but if that doesn't seem to be their truth, I'm not going to stay up in my head about it, in my ego about it. I wish you peace. I accept that everybody has free will. And if this isn't your truth, that's not your truth. I wish you peace, and I'm going to move on and invest my time, energy, and effort in enjoying my life and the people in my life who are kind of more on the same page. I'm not going to try to change other people. I'm not going to try to get them more out of their ego. Make them grow up. Make them work through their fears and insecurities. If you want to do that and you ever do that, let me know. But in the meantime, I'm going to move on. And I think as people do that, other people see them doing that. Other people know that people could indulge more in their immature nature, prideful nature, indulge in relationships or other things in order to feel better. And other people are like, no, I'm going to walk my talk, maintain balance, enjoy my life, do things in moderation, which is balance, and I'm going to do my truth. I want to be in relationship with other people who do that. So, high vibe Taurus, I'm going to walk my talk. And then other people see you doing that. And those people, there could be some immature people who want to be the next immature or shadowy person to you to indulge in a relationship. It's like, no, I've already done that. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm willing to get to know you, but I'm not going to chase after you. I'm not going to get my ego about you. I'm going to walk my truth. And if that's your truth, then I guess we'll kind of see over time and keep getting along and getting to know each other. But if you are more shadowy or more immature, you stay in the friend zone. I don't want to get myself tangled up in a relationship I shouldn't get into to begin with. No longer in illusion and in denial. You're either more motivated to work together in a just and fair, loving and encouraging, authentic way, or you're not. And there's going to be other people who want to be in a relationship with you because of that, and other people will run away because they can't juggle you and you won't indulge them. What's coming up for the shadowy people that they might not see coming? The wheel of, well, this one's called the wheel of the year, but kind of like they'll see the wheel turn for other people. Why? Because those people balanced out their emotions and temperance energy. Other people were willing to, and temperance energy can talk about Generally in decks, it'll show the person pouring the two cups together to blend them. In our fiery sign nature of ourself, Sagittarius is fire sign energy. We all have these things of the world that we would like to go indulge in. We'd all maybe like it to be more about ourselves and be indulged in a relationship and have it be more about us. And we can all be caught up in things of the world. And we all want friendship and relationship. But the high vibe people want those things. That's your fire sign energy, Leo's fire sign energy. But they temper it with their more emotionally intuitive, creative, inspired nature. I want balance in my life. Yes, I want some of those things just like other people, but I also want truth and love and justice and fairness, and I'm not willing to sacrifice that to make it more about these other things. And because the other people kind of get inspired to get more balance within themselves, believe in themselves, put things in perspective, look at life from the bigger picture. I'm probably going to live 80 years. Do I need these certain things in my life today or next week or next year or even in the next 5 years? Some of those things? No, I have other things I can invest that are part of my dream. I can focus on growing and maturing myself. I can work on my career. I can learn to love myself. I can offer love to other people in my life. I can kind of get inspired to even find some new things that I might enjoy that maybe at other times I wasn't able to invest more time and energy. And Sagittarius can talk about travel or philosophy and theology or all those kind of things. Sometimes we have a lot of things that are things if we go find things that we're really interested in kind of learning about and even freeing ourselves and working through some of these things that manipulate us. What they don't see is other people do free themselves and they heal. And some of the more worldly, shadowy people never get more balance within themselves. There, it's always tipped more in favor of fear or indulging themselves or being about themselves or the ego or the image or the lust or the greed. And they could think also that the wheel of fate would turn in their favor, living more from their mind than their heart, or trying to use these things of the world to try to get people to get in relationship with them. But the other people in their life are inspiring people with truth and justice and fairness. Do some of those people maybe have as much as what some of these other people have in some way? You know, do they have as much social clout? Are they as attractive? Do they have as much money? Do they have as much status? Do they have a certain image in the world? Maybe not. They're just living their authentic life and it's balanced. They have enough of different things. Other people could put too much importance on those things of whatever they have. And that's why other people want to be in a relationship with them. And some of the other people are like, why are they going and getting in friendship and relationship with them? I maybe seem to have more status, more image, more social clout, more attractive, more whatever. And it's like, well, because with these people, people can, you know, it's more authentic, it's more just, it's more fair, it's more loving, it's more creative. It's not more about these things or more about them or. And so the wheel of fate turns in favor of people who are more inspired to also listen to love and intuition to guide them. And that could start making some of those people kind of question how they have viewed the world. But for some, the more prideful, the more immature, the more defensive, the more worldly, the more materialistic, the more full of themselves some people are, they're just going to keep thinking. They're just going to keep balancing out their emotions and their Sagittarius energy about continuing to move forward the way they've been moving forward. Sure, is going to work out the way they want. But I think some of these people, they're going to end up in a mental prison because if you're not being truthful and authentic and just and fair, and you're maybe not as mature and balanced and just and fair as you try to present yourself as being, you know, other people do listen to their intuition. And that's like the one thing they can't control is if other people listen to their intuition. And the more high vibrational people are going to move on, and because they're unwilling maybe to compromise, the more high vibrational people in their life leave, and they end up moving forward with other people who might be more like them. And they could always be trying to change other people, but they're not willing to change. The high vibe people were willing to heal and grow and mature themselves. They were willing to change. But some of these other people are not. They lack some hope and faith and belief in themselves or others or in love. And they just might end up moving forward in a relationship with someone who's kind of more maybe on the same emotional maturity level as them. And they both might be people who try to present themselves as more stable and grounded and mature than they really are. They both could be more up in their head and fearful of love. So then it is kind of just like having sex with each other. And maybe more for the status or the ego and the image. And if it has those things of the world that they want, even though some of them would like to leave it, and even though they're just creating an illusion, and even though it is more superficial and shallow, so it's kind of unfulfilling, if they know neither one of them are really willing to do love, they'll just move forward in it anyway because that is the truth of where they're at. And so long as it looks good by worldly standards, they might be okay with that because maybe some of them really didn't want to do love anyway. And if they're both willing to be in a relationship more for these reasons and you have sex together, then it's kind of a more superficial and shallow relationship. And the other people are going to go more on an adventure working together with people where it is more inspired by truth and love. But everybody has the free will to manifest what they want to manifest, and they could be perfectly happy living their life with whoever they find who wants to live their life like that with them. It's just that the more high vibe people had been in a relationship with them eventually realized they couldn't keep doing that. It wasn't their truth. And they've moved on, and they'll move on, and everybody moves on in their truth. But the high vibe people have healed from it. They did pick up their investment in it. They're still not up in their head about it. The other people never kind of deal with the truth of some issues, so, which could be the cause of some of these problems to begin with. They never want to see the truth about where they need to heal and grow and mature themselves and how some of the people they've dealt with in their life need to heal and grow and mature themselves. And so they just keep taking these actions hoping things will work out, but they might not even know why they do what they do, and they could not be very emotionally connected in with themselves or listen to their intuition, maybe just lack insight into themselves or others. That's like shadowy Scorpio. Scorpio in emotional water sign is about kind of getting to know yourself emotionally, and then you have invested in that. I know one time I Googled because somebody had said a quote about it, and I pulled up all sorts of good quotes, but it was a quote along the line, know yourself, know, and then there was a whole bunch of quotes that pulled up on the internet. But the more you know yourself and understand yourself and why you do what you do, you can have a lot more compassion for other people because, again, you can kind of relate. Well, even though we could be really mad when some of these relationships don't work out the way we want and get ourselves in more mismatched relationships, or someone does take action more out of fear, insecurity, or lust or greed. You know, we could probably think back in times in our life to some degree at some scale that we were in that same place. And that's how we heal and we're able to work through being in our ego about it and we're able to move on. But the other people just keep maybe being up in their head about all these different things and they lack insight into themselves and always trying to kind of maintain balance within themselves, but so they don't really tip out of balance, but they are kind of tipped out of balance. And it's just to try to maintain balance within themselves so that some relationships will work out, that they don't indulge themselves too badly or fly off the handle or whatever, you know. So there you go, Leo. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.